The Transformers as a franchise has many ups and downs. During the 80s and the 90s and the 2000s, so many great animated shows and movies. And then Michael Bay got his hands on the franchise and started pumping out movies with Shia LaBeouf. And honestly, I like the ones with Shia LaBeouf, but I checked out once Marky Mark came in. But then Bumblebee came along and rebooted the franchise, and now we have a new creative team trying to bring our favorite robots in disguise back to their former glory. Does Rise of the Beast do that and uphold the standard of Beast Wars? Well, let me start with the premise. Years after the events of Bumblebee, Optimus Prime and the Autobots take on their biggest challenge yet. When a new threat capable of destroying the entire planet emerges, they must team up with a powerful faction of Transformers known as the Maximals to save Earth. Let's start off with the good. So, this movie is set in the 90s, so the soundtrack reflects that and is energetic and nostalgic. It might have been my favorite part of the movie, hearing all this old school hip hop and R&B bops from back in the day, and used really well throughout the film to create a certain fun, energetic moments, either with comedy when they're traversing or mainly during the action. They did LL Cool J's at a great time that made my whole crowd like really just cheer and get really excited, and I was really pumped during that whole sequence. And with it being set in the 90s, our human characters Noah and Alana, played by Anthony Ramos and Dominique Fishback, two actors I'm a fan of. They are both from Brooklyn, which is great because I'm from Brooklyn too, so I related to them. They're just really endearing characters. Noah is just a guy trying to take care of his family. He's a former Army vet. He doesn't really work well with others, but he has this adorable brother that has sickness, and he's trying to do everything in his power to get money so he can get help with it. And after trying the legal way to get the money and trying to get his family help, he goes the illegal way because there's no other way for him to go. And he tries to rob a car, and it ends up being an Autobot. And that's how his story intertwines with them. Elena is an archaeologist, or wants to be an archaeologist. She's really just an intern, and she finds the MacGuffin of the film, and that's how her storyline gets tied up into the film as well. And we get introduced into these new versions of the Autobots. And my favorite in this new bunch is played by Pete Davidson, and his name is Mirage. He was hilarious throughout the film. I'm a fan of Pete Davidson in movies. I think he does a really good job of just being this chaotic, funny guy in films. I know a lot of people don't like him, but I think that he's hilarious, and I think this is his best performance yet. I really like Mirage. He was the highlight of the film for me. He had countless jokes that was really funny, and his chemistry with Anthony Ramos' Noah was really great, and it reminded me of Bumblebee and Shia LaBeouf's relationship, but just a little bit different. This was more of a bro buddy thing. You know, with Shia and Bumblebee, it was like Shia was taking care of a baby at that in those movies. Here it's like we're trying to be best friends, and Noah's like, I don't know, and it's just really funny relationship that they had with each other. And we have the other Autobots here. Bumblebee is great as well. He's not as used as much as he usually is in these films, but the scenes that he are in, he's a show stealer. Optimus Prime is very different from the Optimus that we usually get. He's more of an a-hole here and not as trusting, and you can tell this is a younger Optimus that doesn't trust humans yet. The other Autobots that we got here were cool, and they had their fun moments, but they were utilized very sparingly in terms of having personality, but it was great in the action. But what you come here for is for the Maximals, the Beast, the new form of Transformers that they have added into the franchise, and they're all really cool. Optimus Primal has this relationship with Optimus Prime where he kind of looks up to him, but it's one of those things where don't meet your heroes. And Michelle Yeoh plays one of the ones that's the eagle. She did a great job playing like a wise eagle, ferocious character. Really liked her, and I always want to hear her voice. And the other two beasts that we got, once again, used sparingly, but were fun in moments. And I think the action was choreographed really great. A lot of thrilling action with it tied into the weight of the story. So it felt like there was something on the line and stakes each time a fight was happening. It wasn't just a fight for a fight to be happening. And I think Stephen Caple Jr., who directed The Creed 2, which I thought was a really good film, did a great job choreographing the fight scenes in here. In the past Transformers films, it got really blocky, and the CGI and stuff like that, sometimes you couldn't really see what was going on, but I knew what was happening in every fight scene and every moment, and it never felt too blurry. The VFX in this movie is really, really good 90% of the time. There's some hiccups here and there, but for the most part, the Transformers look believable and they look really, really cool. And the last 20 minutes of the film is thrilling, is impactful, gets emotional, and it gets really, really fun and funny. This movie is really, really funny. A lot of New York humor from the 90s used and slang that made me laugh really loud, especially me being from New York, understanding everything. And I think just the comedic timing was just really good that anyone from any state or any country can understand and have some fun. And on top of that, they balanced it with Scourge, the bad guy, the main bad guy in this film. He was menacing, especially the opening sequence when they showed him. They displayed him in a way where he felt like a real threat and kind of scary. And throughout the movie, he was just an absolute menace that I wanted to see get punched in the face. So I think that the movie overall had a bunch of different elements that I loved a lot. Now let's get into the bad. So the emotional dialogue in this film is very, 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 very cheesy. Jesus. Especially towards the third act where things feel like it's kind of rushing and speeding up a little bit. This movie is under 2 hours. Not sure why they couldn't give it a little bit more time for those emotional scenes to breathe, but they're just written in a way that's very cliche and it just made me roll my eyes a lot of the times watching the film. They didn't totally take me out of the film, but I felt like it could have been executed a bit better. Just the writing overall, while the story is not bad, is very, very cliche. It's chasing after a MacGuffin, and we've seen that not only in Transformers a lot, but just movies in general. And hopefully moving forward, that the franchise can, get a little bit more layered story. And I don't go to Transformers for a mind-blowing plot, but it could be a little bit more complicated and a little more meat on its bones than what we had here. It got the job done. It's not bad. It came with some exciting action, but it could have take this movie from a really good movie to a great or even amazing film if they had a stronger plot with some stronger dialogue during the emotional sequences. The comedy bits I thought were really fun, but the emotional scenes could get really cheesy. Now let's get into my verdict. So I think this is a good continuation of what Bumblebee set up. That movie is a little bit more soulful than this film and a little bit more concise and contained, and this one gets big and explosive and it has a crazy third act. But I think that the fun is there. The heart is there. It's a lot more funny than a lot of the Transformer movies have been. I like the human characters a lot, and I like the Beast and the new Transformers that we got here a lot, with Mirage being a highlight. I think this is a great start to the new Transformers franchise, and what they teased at the end completely took my breath away. Think Nick Fury showing up to Tony Stark for the first time and talking about the Avengers Initiative, something like that. And I'm really, really excited to see what they do with that moving forward. So with that said, I'm going to give Transformers Rise of the Beast a C+. Did you like it? Did you hate it? What would you personally rate Transformers Rise of the Beast? Are you going to check it out in theaters or wait for streaming? Let me know in the comments below how you feel about the film if you saw it, and if you're going to check it out based on my review if you have not yet. Like the video if you like my review, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you can be notified of my reviews, reactions, live discussions, and much, much more. You can catch more of my content right now.